pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You're not on.
How come I get a button? Does that mean I'm the one that screws it up all the time?
That's the one that's supposed to be up there.
Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The 2023-24 school calendar was approved on the April 11th at the April 11th school committee meeting. During the approval process, the committee requested me to provide you with student attendance data on the completed 2022-23 half-days. I have attached 2 attendance reports to this update for your review. The first document provides you with a percentage of students attending school in each grade by school on the September 21st, October 19th, December 7th, February 8th, and March 22nd early release days. These are the 5 early release days that were completed when the report was created. The second report includes the same data for 8 random dates, usually the day before or after the early release day for comparison. Past district calendars have included 2, 4, and 6, which was this year, professional development early release days. Superintendent Bergeron requested 6 early release days for FY23. Strategy 2 through 2.1 had each of these strategies included requests for those 2 additional days. So strategies 2.1, identify and implement common curriculum experiences across all grade levels, made that request so that classroom teachers across all grade levels could meet on additional time. Strategy 2.2, support at-risk students through a comprehensive set of intervention systems. That request was made so that data teams could also use the time. And strategies 2.3, develop clear expectations for all professional learning communities, requested these days. And the PLC request was because at the secondary level, specifically at Whitcomb School, they have PLCs for a variety of outcomes, and at the elementary, it's mainly concerned on looking at the data, reteaching, and then looking at data again to make sure that we're mastering the content. All 3 of these strategies are focused on teaching and learning and on increasing student achievement. I will agree that the student attendance data documents that fewer students attend school on early release days. In June, I will be presenting a new proposed district improvement plan. In that plan, under academic achievement, curriculum, and instruction, is the following action step: that we would develop and implement a K-12 plan to reduce student absence rate by 5%. Student attendance is a concern we all share, and a concern that we have identified earlier this year and have been working on all year long. The FY calendar, the district calendar, currently has 6 professional development early release days: September 20th, October 18th, December 6th, January 10th, February 7th, and May 15th. I would like us to discuss the following options, and I wanted to make sure that I had a variety of options. We could maintain all 6 early release days. They were added to the calendar because they support our strategies for improvement. There was a reason for it. We could discuss an idea that came forward from the teachers a couple of years ago, and converting 2 early release days to delayed opening days, and evaluate the attendance rate for both models for next year, and then look to see what we did moving forward. There are a few districts that are doing the late starts for professional development for teachers. And then the other option would be reduce the amount of early release days to 4, which is what we've had last year, and allow the leadership team to begin brainstorming creative ways to provide at least the K through 5 grade teachers a maximum of 2 afternoons of release time while students participate in enrichment activities. So it would be releasing teachers and trying to plan other enrichment activities for the students at the time. I do want to note that if we are doing reduction or changing to delayed opening days, we had identified October 18th and January 10th as the 2 days that would either be removed or converted to delayed starts. Thoughts?
You can go first.
Questions?
I mean, do you think attendance would be any better at a late start?
I believe a few districts have been experimenting with it. I believe Framingham has that in their upcoming calendar. The teachers that brought it forward felt that it is easier, and we talked about this as a leadership team the other day. When we're doing the early release days at noon, if someone is working from 9 to 5, they have to miss 5 hours of work. For hourly workers, that's a significant amount of money. We have to understand that. A delayed opening is someone is able to go into work at 11:30 and stay till 5. They're missing less of their work day. It's easier for them to manage on their work schedule. For some, anytime we're talking about people's working and their professions, there's no blanket statements that apply to all. But that is potentially yes, but we don't know what the impact would be. You know, some of these numbers were significantly lower.
Yeah, yeah. But I guess that shortens the amount of time that you would have to do your activities.
Yep.
Ms. Matthews?
I guess my concern, going back to our conversation 2 weeks ago about attendance, is the 6 give children the opportunity to have already 6 absences, which is a third of what we're trying to prevent. And is that, you know, that's going to put them in that phone call list of making sure that they're there. And, you know, I'm sure we're going to hear, well, I couldn't get them there, or, you know, or had nobody for them in the afternoon, or they went whatever. I like the idea of the delayed start, because I think at the high school, obviously they do it multiple times for SATs and APs and things like that. And I think our numbers have been pretty good on those. It would be interesting to look at that too. And I like the idea of the enrichment. But my concern is how many administrators and I mean, those people that have to now watch the kids miss out on the PD.
And we would also most likely have to have some of our support staff supporting students.
Right.
And
'Cause they
not.
couldn't be alone.
A couple of things that we talked about too, and the reasons why we're saying a maximum, and in reality, we'd probably be able to thoughtfully, we'd still have to talk to the whole leadership team. This is something that, that we've talked about, but we haven't presented it yet. But if we could plan out to the spring and possibly work with some of the PTOs and look at some of the cultural arts programs that we have, maybe double book a couple of them and switch off with partner schools. It's something we offer our students anyways. It would be the opportunity to do that. And we couldn't rule out the idea of, at times we've done whole school dance parties and things like it could be some team building, or put some of those activities just for the fun. We would have been sending the kids home, instead. Yeah.
Jump rope-a-thon.
Or two of the 4 elementaries do a field trip on one of the days, and the other 2 do a field trip, because you get parent volunteers and others. So we cannot dismiss the fact that that would take a lot of planning from a lot of people, and would be, anytime you try to do something new, it takes longer to plan these things out. So start small,
but potentially at least explore it. And if it's a regularly scheduled day and we just come up and say we're going to switch off and have a whole school day and move forward with planning, then it's, if it can't be as grand, or if it has to be split in a couple of different days, then it would still allow us to accomplish some of our goals.
Other comments, questions? Yep.
Sure. I mean, I definitely like the idea of having the delayed start. I think that that makes a lot of sense, especially when you really contemplate how it affects someone with, you know, jobs and hourly wages and things like that. That does make a lot of sense. I have to say, I've been struggling a bit on the attendance thing because I think it was just like a week or two ago. Frankly, it was like a gorgeous Friday, and it was like, I don't know, 70 or 80 degrees. I went in to grocery shop, and there were kids that were there buying stuff as if they were heading to the beach. It was all I could do to not like.
Senior skip day.
No, well, these were younger. So it's one of those things that, you know, obviously not my place, but, you know, the parent within me wanted to be like, shouldn't you actually be at school? So it really does beg that we have to have a bigger discussion about how we can make that impact around attendance. And I am concerned if we move forward on 6 days as is, half days, I think we're only perpetuating a problem that we know already is there. So that, to me, I don't think that that's an option to consider, just doing the 6 half days without trying to look at it differently somehow. So, and I'm not saying the how, you know, but it seems to move forward with the 6 days as is not the answer from where I'm sitting. So, thank you.
Mr. Ryan?
I'm just not sure if the delayed opening is the answer. I like the idea of trying something new, but I'm thinking, I just don't know if they're already home, you're gonna be able to get them to go to school for the rest of the day? I don't know, I'm just thinking of my own little lazy kids, but they don't watch the meeting, so they won't know I said that. But my other thought was, maybe I'm thinking out loud, but does the lack of attendance does the professional development of our teachers outweigh the attendance issue? Like, what's more important? Like, are we overthinking this? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what's more important, getting all the training in, or like how important is the issue? I know they're both important, but can we do something at the building level? I don't know if they still do like the attendance awards, like they used to do that. And the elementary level, they used to get pretty hyped up about it. I don't know what you can do at the middle and high school level to incentivize kids to be in school and stress the importance of going to school on those half days. I don't know.
When we're talking about how we communicate the importance of attendance, that is something like we're hoping to come forward with a whole comprehensive plan, including making sure that we address it from the very beginning in kindergarten. And they're creating videos and just ways of establishing those relationships with families and students from the very beginning. I think that, Ms. Hennessy, you said, because we were talking about the policy, right? Yeah. But we had a long conversation at a leadership meeting about so the policies are all now translatable on the website. We fixed that, but we don't want to refer people to the policy. We want to bring the policy alive and make sure that people know why it's important and why we care, why we want the children, why we want our students in our classrooms every day. And thank you for that, because that was a great conversation that we had. And so, absolutely, there's so many more reasons. Teachers working and especially implementing a new literacy curriculum at the elementary school, having time to really be on the same page, because so many benefits of teachers being able to work together is the reason why when we go from one school to another these days, we see the exact same, teaching and learning going on. So there's so many benefits for that. It's important to continue, but nothing is as important to us as having our kids in our classes these days.
Other questions? Yep.
I guess the other thing I ask is, we've gone to half days because we want to have more alignment for the professional development.
Teachers across.
And the teachers across, but is it impossible to do on a full day?
Not without, so we can't expect that the teachers can be removed from the classroom and the students are going to have the same experience in their class. So that's why the only way we could do it, if we also started investigating maybe some of this is Jarrick schools, or like this is all 4th grade is being released, and all 4th graders across the districts are going to have this experience. We have to plan something for them. They can't be left with a Chromebook or just on their own.
No, but
or
I'm saying
substitutes.
we're shying away from not giving a full day off
Yep.
for the kids. It obviously, in the past, I think we've done like building-based for half of the day and then district-wide PD for the other half of the day when we do a full day.
So we'll still have the full days because those are in the contracts, so that's the 184. So those are above and beyond. The early release days are the days that all 3rd grade teachers across the district meet, or all 4th grade teachers, or something like that. We would still, with your permission, investigate being able to plan those enrichment activities during the day and release the teachers. We're still going to be looking for ways that benefit both the students and the staff. The staff needs some time. We don't know. It could be only just one day that we are able to, to work on, but, and we'd have to partner with some of the PTOs, potentially for the cultural arts.
Yeah, you've gotten my wheels turning, because if you really start thinking about some of the school-wide programs that have been done previously, it is doing a lot more of that ahead of time organization, so that, the pumpernickel puppeteer guy, is here.
He's still doing that?
Still
that guy's
doing
like
it.
100 years old. Oh my goodness.
But
We could have a
Yeah.
day that they're rotating through or
yeah.
Yeah.
and-
or an
and-
author, one of those,
yeah.
yeah.
And even if it's all ganged up together, so it really is a movement all at once, or, like longer Panther period at the high school that is utilized for stuff that needs to be going on anyway, and it's just proctored a little bit differently, so,
We do those activities throughout the school year anyways,
Right.
because we believe they're important for students to be exposed to them. So it would benefit everyone.
Maybe, for Wickham, we could just bring back for Ms. Weldon, like a civics day in the civics day in the fall, so like, and it's just a little bit more blown out, and maybe that's where we actually partner, with the city in bringing in,
City Hall for a day.
clean out City Hall for a day and send them on over there. But, maybe that's where we talk about some of the things that we have focused on in the past that really have benefited. It's talking about community service activities, right? And we just target something a little bit differently where we can get everyone engaged. Could be a good answer to meet some of the other things we want to be targeted. We just have to get the organization behind it, but thank you. Yeah, that'd be great.
So what I'm hearing is, oh, Dan, sorry.
The concern I have about the delayed openings is there are also some parents whose jobs require, that's the part of the day they have to be there. So I think you're going to find that's kind of a wash with parents in terms of the desire to be there. Also, the delayed opening, if you're a teacher that's in professional development, at least this is my anxiety level, I'd be sitting there thinking, at a certain point in time, I'm starting to think, you stop thinking about what you're doing here, professional development, start to think, I've got, students coming, I've got to get ready for the students. So I'm not sure how successfully the professional development be. Plus, the other thing is, going to your point about which came first, the chicken or the egg, the development of there's so many things that teachers are being required to do by the state and on their own subject areas and everything else, that I'm not so sure that you can really reduce it too much, because it's just so many things to do. Where I worked, believe it or not, every Tuesday was a release day for the elementary levels. Every Tuesday. And
A lot of districts have Wednesdays.
and one was,
yeah.
one Tuesday was a district day, and one was in the building day.
Building.
Yeah, building.
Yeah.
So, that's the concern I have there. Just, and the other things, when you have all these, I agree that, there's a lot of things we could do, but then the organizational part's what worries me. There's a whole lot of things that have to go into making those plans, and I'm thinking at this point now, do you not have enough to do this summer? You want to spend, that much time on your hands? You said, I just want to sit here and work on, yeah. So
Mrs.
those are
Hennessy's
the
got
things
lots
I'm
of free time, she can
worried
help.
about, yeah. So those are my concerns.
So I think that we would be asking, so what I'm hearing is a desire to reduce the 6 early release days. Can we bring back a calendar with 4? And then all I would be asking for next would be for the permission to investigate doing something to start with the elementary, not at the beginning of the year, would probably be more towards the spring, yes, to relieve the elementary teachers, but plan something for the students to stay in the building for that day.
I'm good with that.
So I know you and I talked about it last week about bringing back some kind of assemblies, something, whether it's a fun one or whether it's a drug awareness something, or just something a
Age
couple times a day. And you could actually have the same program that's run for the different schools or different classrooms on the different days. So you could have the same 5 programs that just kind of flop around.
Exactly.
But I just think, the kids need the time. If you're gonna do these assemblies anyway, and some are fun ones and some aren't quite as fun. We do have the new person that just started in the city yesterday, actually. So we're hoping she gets in the schools also as far as, drug abuse awareness and that type of thing, and running some programs. So the only question I have is, I assume this problem is everywhere. So have any of your colleagues seen anything that's worked in any of their districts?
In terms of attendance.
Attendance?
Just want to be clear.
Yeah, the most important, what everyone is focusing on is creating the environment where the students want to come. I think it is priorities, right? You saw the students on a sunny day all wanting to go to the beach. That's like, that draw of what they wanted to do that day was too great. The only thing that we can do is continue to work on creating the school environment, once again, which people felt disconnected for a while from, to be where they want to be, first thing, and to stay.
It's rebuilding the culture.
It is. It's wonderful kids want to stay home and be with their families to a certain, you can't say that's a negative, but.
Did
we
anyone
have
say
to
they were
be.
doing that?
Assumption.
Well, and you don't know if the families are even home.
Yeah.
That was a funny
right?
comment,
I mean,
Yeah.
but, okay. Anything else that, yep.
No, the only thing is it really sounds like, we've got to kind of work on, probably with Jill and communications a little bit, to make sure that families all together understand about the importance of creating that want and need of being able to be at school. But it's right from the beginning, just like you were saying. If you establish it early in kindergarten and first grade, you get it under the belt of the need, the want, the expectation kind of thing, and it doesn't become a labor. It's just part of your routine, right?
Yeah, and Jill will do that, but we're also, we'll be bringing forward a tool that all the classroom teachers, one tool that every single teacher will be using across the district to communicate immediately and in the appropriate languages, back and forth, two-way communication with every family. So
This is part of the K-12 plan that
this
you're
is
gonna.
part of the
bring
K-12
forward.
plan that we're going to be talking with. We're excited. Like I said, this is a priority. We need students in our classrooms.
Sure.
Good?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just one more quick
Yep.
thing. Is this something the Joint Professional Development Committee may want to also take a look at, if you're talking about changing the way we deliver the professional development?
So the early release days are one piece of the professional development that we would, so how we use that, and the goals, for how that time is used, could be something the PD committee could talk about.
Now we're good? Mr. Diaz?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is tonight's update from Finance and Operations. Jarrick Elementary HVAC. The district continues to pursue the completion of an HVAC improvement at Jarrick Elementary this coming summer. Our first round of bidding did not attract a general contractor to take on the project, with potential bidders citing the size of the project, the constrained summer timeline, and other scheduled projects on their books as roadblocks to our Jarrick project. The internal team has adjusted certain aspects of the bid document, and we recently released a modified version of the invitation for bids. And I remain hopeful that we will book a general contractor to take on the project, but we're also starting on Plan B for what we would do if we don't secure a vendor to do it this summer. So we're analyzing other options right now. Procurement. We have released a request for proposals for food service management company for services starting July 1, 2024. We have established a 4-person team to review and rate the RFP submissions. And that committee is myself, Ms. Heidi Matthews, Deborah Delamora, a Whitcomb cafeteria manager, and Laura Butler, the Richer Elementary cafeteria manager. I want to thank you. I want to thank Ms. Matthews, Ms. Delamora, and Ms. Butler for volunteering. I also want to thank Ms. Hennessy and Mr. Caruso for volunteering as well. I put your 3 names in the hat, and Mrs. Matthews' name came out. But thank you all for raising your hand and volunteering.
I had nothing to do with it.
Somebody in my office did. I wasn't even the one that did it. New Director of Finance and Operations transition. The district's new Director of Finance and Operations, Tom LaFleur, visited central office and some of our schools on Tuesday, April 18th. Tom had lunch with the business office staff, met with various central office employees, and visited some of our forthcoming school projects. This was a great visit, and we look forward to hosting Tom a handful of additional times before his formal start date of July 1st. The team was very pleased to meet him. FY23 budget closeout. We have started the work of closing out the FY23 budget, and we're currently identifying potential efficiencies, and we'll be engaging with the facilities department to look at potential school capital projects that we can invest in with any end-of-year balances that we have. And I'll be presenting to the school committee in future dates what those projects may be. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Bodenja?
I'm just curious, with the Jarrick project, was the scope of the project too big or too small? Like, what were they?
Depending on which contractor you got feedback from, both. Some thought it was too small for them, some thought it was too big for them. Many said they were fully booked. We were not the only district looking to utilize ESSER monies
To
to
do
improve
HVAC.
HVAC. So
Popular use of the money.
Hennessy?
So that was the question I had. Would it be possible for us to put out the bid really towards summer of '24?
that is the most likely option B. The OPM team's pushing us hard to analyze any school time options. And one of the hard lines that we're holding is that we can't put a capital project in front of the needs of students,
Right.
especially given all of the other challenges that we have going on. So FY '24 would be the next ideal scenario. However, we have some federal funds sunsetting this September. And that becomes a thing to overcome.
That's, I guess, what I was wondering is, if we were able to award the bid for '24, would we be able to encumber that money, is my question.
Can't.
Not
Okay.
with
I
ESSER
just
monies
wanted to-
unless Congress passes a bill
Right.
extending the timeline for the
Okay,
grant.
I just was curious about that. That was on brain.
ESSER 2, which expires on September 30, the goods or services from that grant have to be received
Executed.
within 60 days from the grant expiration date. So
Okay.
it's November.
And then the only other request, I guess I would say, is when Tom is going to be coming to the district again, can you maybe give us a heads up so we might be able to just at least do a little hello or coffee or something, just, you know, a little minor FaceTime just
Absolutely.
before he has to hit here, and, you know, we're kind of all embroiled. Maybe it would be a little bit more comfortable to at least just pass in the hallway a little bit.
Absolutely. Happy to
Awesome.
do that. The business, I wanted to give the business office first dibs because they were very obviously
Yeah.
excited to meet the new boss. So we had lunch with Mr. LaFleur. It went really well. But we are planning at least 4 more visits, and I'll be happy to share those dates.
Yeah, that'd be great. Nothing major. Thank you.
Any other questions? Ms. O'Brien?
Thank you very much. Tonight, I have an update on our Tier 2 tiered focus monitoring review results. The district has received the results and findings from the Office of Public School Monitoring for the Special Education and Civil Rights Review that was conducted this past fall. The audit consisted of an extensive review of procedures, policies, and other documents, parent reviews, as well as a site visit that was conducted on November 30th, 2022. There were 11 special education standards and 18 civil rights standards that were reviewed. In all but one area, the district was found to be in compliance with legal requirements. The one area that the district is found to be in partial compliance is SE 55, which is special education facilities and classrooms. Specifically, there are 2 timeout rooms at Jarwick Elementary that are not safe or appropriate for the purposes of calming. One of the timeout rooms has a half door that had a sharp-edged plastic corner piece that had the potential to cause physical injury. That door was fixed as soon as the district was notified. The other timeout room is located back behind a school adjustment counselor's office on the 2nd floor. The location of this timeout room does not provide for student privacy and confidentiality and disrupts counseling sessions that may be occurring if the timeout room is needed for another student. This timeout room will either be moved to an appropriate location at the end of the school year or eliminated entirely. I'll be working with Principal Patel on determining which action will be taken. A recent advisory from Department of Education on the reduction and elimination of the use of timeouts will be reviewed as part of the decision-making process. Attached to my report is the full audit report and the continuous improvement and monitoring plan, which is a corrective action for that partial compliance. Additionally, I also attached the Department of Ed advisory on the use of timeouts is included for your information.
Questions from the committee? Ms. Matthews?
Ms. O'Brien, the timeout room issue, obviously I'm not an educator, I don't try to be an educator, and the elimination and reading the recommendation from DESE or their advisory, to me, I would assume that it's an every year decision, also based on students that are enrolled, but that there may be a need for a timeout room. That I don't even get the impression they said never, ever. I think post-COVID it was to try to keep them all together.
Correct.
And no
think
isolation.
It's reducing or eliminating, so wherever appropriate. So I can say for our district, out of the 4, there's inconsistency between the 4 elementary schools on use of timeout rooms. So for instance, we have specialized special education, some separate programs that have timeout rooms that are located within the classroom that are utilized. And in addition, there are some elementary schools that have timeout rooms that are used for students that are not part of those special ed programs, and there's other elementary schools that do not have them. And so the conversation is, well, the general ed population isn't drastically different from one elementary school to another, so why would one elementary school need it versus another? And having the availability of a timeout room leads to, if you build it, they will come, and not necessarily using alternatives prior to just immediately going to the use of a timeout room. So those are some of the conversations that we'll be having with the
I mean, and that's what I understood, was that that the appropriate environment or program may have more of a need than just the.
Yes. So our plan would be for our specialized sub-separate programs. Would still have the availability of those timeout rooms that are in existence, but making sure that they're safe, for instance, that half door. But we do want to get to the point of working with our principals in looking at other alternatives other than timeout rooms for our general population.
Great, thank you.
Other questions? Ms. Tennessee?
I just was going to say thank you for that clarity, because as I was thinking back at some of the different programs that we offer that are very specific to some of the elementary schools and not so much in the others, that's where I was a little confused or concerned about the potential of elimination, because in some of those situations it seems like it was, again, not an educator, but per what I had seen and read about, it seemed that it was apparent that it was necessary to have it available for some of those sub-separate programs. I appreciate what you were just saying, though, relative towards the general population, if you will, and trying to remediate and I guess, limit down. But I do get concerned because I think sometimes with some of the mediation that has to be done where something's going on and then it affects, though, the larger population of the classroom that really have to vacate that area to allow for the de-escalation, it does cause a lot of a rift within the classroom. And sometimes when it's with some of the younger ages, it's a lot more of a discussion around how to keep everyone engaged, but also keep everyone safe too. So it's kind of like that tough balance.
Yes, and this is really a K-5 conversation, because there are no timeout rooms at the secondary level at either Wickham or the high school. So students magically do not need a timeout room at the secondary level. So we are looking at strategies and within the classroom, even before getting to the point where a student escalates to the point where it's disrupting the classroom, is working with the teachers on calming corners and sensory, having sensory and coping strategies that they can use and be proactive in those interventions within the classroom.
Yeah. Great, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. Public participation. Any public participation? It's your last chance, public participation. Action items, FY23 operating budget transfers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a few budget transfers for the school committee's consideration tonight. At the ECC, I am requesting a transfer of $5,000 from the teacher line to offset overages in the substitute line. At Richer, requesting a transfer of $30,000 from the teacher line and the para line to offset overages and substitute costs. At Whitcomb, I am requesting a transfer of $83,000 from the para and special education teacher line to offset overages in the music equipment due to programmatic needs, teacher substitute costs, and the assistant principal line due to some interim needs in that school. District-wide, requesting a transfer of $6,250 from the copy machine line to offset overages in nurse substitutes, contracted services, and conference lines. And special education, I am requesting a transfer of $194,000 from the in-district special education transportation line to offset overages in out-of-district transportation, McKinney-Vento transportation, team chair costs, and the tutor lines. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Motion to approve.
Motion made, seconded to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Reports of committees. Any reports of committees? Any reports of committees? Seeing none, members forum. Madam Member.
I have reviewed the warrant and will sign it.
Thank you very much. Hennessy.
Just wanted to bring to everyone's attention that on Thursday night, 7 p.m., the spring concert will be over at Wickham. And next week, I believe on Wednesday night, the fashion show is going to be happening. And I have to say, I've missed it a number of years, and I've heard it's fantastic. So get yourself there. And I think it's probably going to be is it Little Theater?
It's Little Theater.
It's normally Little Theater. So, so just shouting it out about that. So, lots of fun things coming up at the end of the school year. So pay attention to your calendars. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other members?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made, seconded to adjourn. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Thank you very much.